skills, and a well-equipped first aid kit can mean the difference between life and death, okay? So we teach first aid in primary schools and secondary schools, but how many Nigerians, how many people know the basic things when it comes to giving first aid treatment? And that is why we think today's topic is really, really important. Okay, so before I actually forge ahead, I will like to tell our viewers that this particular episode is something very important and we wish no one misses it out. So if you're here to join, do well. You can also share the link amongst your friends and well-wishers and tell them to join, because today's topic will open your eyes to many things. And I also want to use this opportunity to let us know that the former moderator, so for so many of us who are used to the Chealth webinar on Fridays, you know a particular face you see who moderates. Today he's unavoidably absent, and I'm actually going to take the responsibility of moderating today's episode of the program, okay? And then today's discussion, just like I said, will help us understand the importance of first aid and the role of a first aid kit in emergencies, and how these simple interventions have saved countless lives around the world. When you see our topic, you see that we didn't go around beating around the bush and all of that. We just went straight to the point and said how first aid kit saved my life. So joining us today is Mr. Noah Idebeso. I hope I got that name correctly. He's actually a certified first aid instructor and a member of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Rivers State branch. Okay, so Mr. Noah, welcome to the program. Please greet our viewers and tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Noah Idebeso, a first responder, a first aider, and whatsoever you can call about us, it's about saving lives. So I've been a member of Red Cross for the past 25 years now, like saving life for the past 25 years. And we have a particular team called EFAT, Emergency First Aid Team. We are always on ground whenever there is an emergency. So I'm glad to be here today to tell us more about, because in every 5 years, there's what we call updates in first aid manual, which one was done a year ago, which is 2025. There was an update in first aid manual. Just like you said earlier, some people have the theoretical aspects from the primary school, secondary school, but there are updates that some people are not aware of, which first aid can actually save a life if the intervention is timely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Noah. So we know now that there is more to Mr. Noah than the portfolio we already read out, okay? So he's really prepared to take us on this journey. And also, we are privileged to have with us Miss Dorothy Kano, a Chealth officer and a professional geriatric caregiver, whose passion for health education inspired this conversation. Thank you, Ms. Doris, for bringing together this enlightening discussion. Please, thank you. Ms. Doris, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, just go ahead and greet our audience.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much. My name is Cam Dorothy, and I'm the program officer at CSAAE Healthcare Access Center, Chealth, and I'm also a geriatric caregiver. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Doris. Just like I told you, she actually brought together this enlightening discussion. I have the honor of being your host for today. So before we proceed to discuss on first aid and emergency preparedness, let's briefly look at what first aid or how first aid began, okay? So for people who actually don't know much about first aid, apart from the knowledge we had in primary or secondary schools, we want you to understand the concept of first aid. It actually dates back to many centuries. Modern first aid began in the 19th century. That was between 1859, when a Swiss businessman named Henry Donat witnessed thousands of wounded soldiers left without medical care. Okay, so after the Battle of Safarin in Italy, his efforts to help the injured led to the formation of the International Red Cross movement. And then later in 1878, military doctor Friedrich von Esmarch introduced formal first aid training and promoted the idea that ordinary people could provide immediate care before professional medical help arrived. So today, first aid is recognized worldwide as a vital life-saving skill that empowers individuals to respond effectively during emergencies. So we can see how we actually began, why the passion and everything that led to this coming into reality, and why we need to recognize things like this, talk about them, advocate for them, and amplify it through this means. So, Mr. Noah, we have some basic questions for you, which I believe that our viewers and people who are watching us right now would also love to have answers to. Okay, I believe you're ready for us. So the first question for you, Mr. Noah, is what exactly is first aid and why is it so important in emergency situations?
Okay, first aid generally, just like you said, like the dates back when first aid was, the emergence of first aid, it used to be a treatment because there are limited, what do we call them, nurses, healthcare giver, they are limited. So if you check during the memory of Solferino, that the Herodoners manage those wounded soldiers, he called on community leaders, churches to help him manage those injured people because we have limited doctors back then. So that's why you see, first aid was defined then as treatment because that's what everybody were giving. You are giving treatment to those wounded soldiers and people that are caught with the battle. So as time goes, as things evolve, as we now have many people now going into the medical study, to study medicine, to study nurse, so we have a lot of them. Now, the definition of first aid was now narrowed from treatment to care. It's now care, assistance. First aid is the first skilled assistance or care given to an injured person or someone who suddenly become ill before taken to the hospital. Back then, first aid was a treatment, immediate treatment, because the person that is giving the treatment, after the treatment, there was no hospital. During war, everywhere is shattered. There is no place that is safe. Wherever you are, that's the safest place so far. But now, there are hospitals everywhere that when you give first aid, the first care, because when you treat, there's no point taking to the hospital. So when you care, you assist them, take them to the hospital while they receive their care. Now, the second question was, why is first aid important? First aid is very, very important because every day I see incidents and how first aid really saves life. I was in FMC in Igua, accident and emergency ward, and I saw influx of emergency coming in. I observed them. I found out that in the next 15 minutes, we heard that somebody dies. Somebody dies. So based on my observation, first aid was not given. When the incident occurred, they wasted time. When the condition become worse, they start taking the person to the hospital. But when first aid is done, first aid sustain you pending when you get to the hospital. Now, why do you give first aid? To save life, to prevent the condition from getting worse. So it promotes quick recovery when you give first aid. And it saves time and you save costs. Now, when you give first aid, the essence of first aid is when you get to the hospital, you'll be able to tell the doctor what really happened. Because without telling the doctor, the doctor is not a magician. As I keep telling people, doctors are not magicians to know that, oh, this is what is wrong with you. A diagnosis must be carried out. Under the diagnosis, the history of the incident, the clue, signs and symptoms, all those things must factor out before a doctor can go in to say, okay, this is what is wrong with you and this is what we can do. Now, if a first aider transport a casualty to the hospital and tell the doctor, this is what happened, and this is what I have done, doctor take it from there. That is the reason why first aid give the reason why we give first aid, just to promote quick recovery. But when you just take the person to the hospital and the doctor asks what happened, you say, I don't know. They subject the person to test. And while you are going through that test, you are wasting time. The condition becomes worse. And doctors are not magicians. They can only try their best. So the reason why we give first aid is to promote recovery, to prevent the condition from getting worse, to save time, to save cost, and to save life.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Noah. That was very, very expository. Okay, moving on, we also want to know when people, many people have actually heard about first aid, but they have never received training. So can ordinary people really save life using basic aid skills?
Yes, they can. But first of all, they have to be trained. If you check the definition says first aid is the first immediate skilled care, which means the person must be skilled in theory and in practical. If you are not skilled in theory and in practical, there's a difference between hand-on training and YouTube training. YouTube training, you can't say YouTube training is a hand-on training. Hand-on training is when you are meeting with an instructor. YouTube training is just to gather knowledge. But when the incident comes, you have this fragile mind to you will be able to know what to do, the timing, and how to do it. Now, in the training, you have the theory and the practical. It's a participation class that everybody are going to participate, learn how to do hands-on training before they can give first aid. Because without that training, it's difficult for someone to give first aid.
Okay, so we are getting to understand that before anyone can actually give out first aid treatment, the person must be skilled in it. So now I think this will actually bring us to this particular question. Now, if people must be skilled before they can give out first aid training or treatment to anyone, how many Nigerians do you think have the first aid knowledge in case of emergencies? I heard you mention going to FMC and then people dying as a result of maybe that lack of the first care treatment and all of that. So what are we really doing? Let's come from Red Cross and other agencies. I know this might really be, but let's just show it because what you answered went in that line, okay? So how enlightened are Nigerians from your perspective, from the things you have seen or observed when it comes to these first aid treatments?
Okay, I remember during Red Cross Week, because in every 8th May we celebrate Red Cross Week, we use that medium to send this message on radio, on television, enlighten people on what the importance of first aid. And we went around going schools, primary, secondary, training them on first aid, which I know that is not enough. The information must go beyond primary, secondary, and the tertiary. We are talking about community first aid. We normally do community first aid, but the issue here is consistency. We might do a community first aid for this community this year, and maybe they didn't have training, any other previous training. Now, when we talk about consistency, we are talking about training and retraining. And most of these things cost resources. And where there is no resources, you see, there is a limitation to what we can do. But when it comes to advocacy on radio, television, we have people going to radio, television to advocate on how people can save life via this skill. If they are ready, the Red Cross doors is open nationwide. People come in, trooping in every day, like they want to be trained. But just like I said earlier, it's not enough to train one individual. But we're talking about group. Companies are coming, like the companies is a mandate that every staff must be trained on first aid. So I think we are doing a lot more better on that area, but I think there is more to be done too.
Okay, thank you so much for that brilliant answer. Truly, I think a lot needs to be done. Just like you mentioned, for instance, if we're here now, God forbid, but something happens outside, okay, and then we rush out. If someone like Doris is not close by, you know that so many people will get it wrong and trying to help. Okay, so
Exactly.
you've seen cases of an accident occurs. You see many people giving different advice at the same time. You wouldn't even know which one to follow. This one will say put the shirt. This one will say no, pour water. This one will say don't pour water. You know, it can actually be very, very confusing, and this has led to a lot of deaths. Now, recently in Nigeria, we now observed something. When things happen, people need first aid, treatment, or help. You see people leave first aid and then bring out their phones to start recording or capturing. Now, when you meet them and ask, why can't you help this person? They will tell you, what do I know I want to do to the person? How will I help? I don't know if you understand. I don't know where to start or anything. You see someone breathing, and then the next thing is, let's take the person to the hospital. Just like you said, in the process of jacking the person, putting inside the car, going through the long processes of going to the hospital and everything, the person might die. So what I'm trying to say is that so many deaths that are occurring on Nigerian roads, in the hospitals, in homes, are things that should have been prevented if enough Nigerians have first aid knowledge. So I think this particular topic is really important, and the Red Cross and other agencies should actually, collaborate together to see that things are getting done. Thank you so much for that. Okay, moving on, I want to ask, what are the essential items every first aid kit should contain? Okay, so whether you're at home, whether it's first aid for home, first aid for schools, first aid for churches and offices, or even vehicles. Okay, so do you think there should be first aid box in the home? Should it be in the school? Should it be in the churches, in the office, and in the vehicles? And if yes, what are those basic items that should be in a first aid box?
Okay, for first aid box, which is very, very important too, we call it essential first aid box because back then it used to be standard first aid box. But we found out that when we say essential first aid box, it means some item can be in this first aid box that might not be in the other first aid box. The first aid box you use inside is more bogus. It's called trauma kit. And you can't put trauma kit in the kitchen. You can't put trauma kit in your office. You can't put trauma kit in some certain places, while there are other places that really need this trauma kit. Now, essentially, what you need in the first aid box, number one, most important, all these things are important, but the usage, I'm going to explain why this and why not that. Now, methylated spirit, iodine, hydrogen peroxide, Savlon, which is the antiseptics. Then we now go into the bandaging. We have adhesive plasters and all those stuff. Then the bandaging, we have the roller bandage, we have the crepe bandage. They all have their uses. Now, for first aid box in vehicles, the most important thing is they might have the other essential things in the first aid box, but the most important things in the first aid box in the vehicle is the surgical blade. I heard that the reason why that is the most important thing in the first aid box in the vehicle is because in case there is an accident, somebody can quickly grab the surgical blade and cut the seat belt just for a way of escape. I said, okay, there's no problem with that because I saw that there's a lot of enforcement by VIO of first aid box. As I'm speaking to you, none of the VIO, so far as I can tell, know what first aid is. Talk less of knowing what to do with first aid box in place of emergency. They are enforcing it. Who is to enforce first aid box? Is this to be enforced or to be advocated so everybody can be safe? We are advocating safety, not enforcing. You don't enforce safety on people. You advocate it. They are supposed to be an advocate of safety. Please have your first aid box in your vehicle, but rather they are enforcing it. Now everybody are buying empty first aid box. Just so far as they see the first aid box, they let you go, which is not right. What if there is an incident that needed the first aid box? No, nobody, even having the first aid box is one thing. Knowing how to use it when the incident occurs. It might not be a trap incident that you must cut yourself up. What about an injured person? how do you manage the first aid box? What and what are you supposed to use during emergency in first aid box? If the first aid box is big enough, you can get a saline water and put in it. Now, you don't use methylated spirit, iodine, and hydrogen peroxide on primary wound. Primary wound are the wound you sustain immediately and there is bleeding. All you need is either saline water, ordinary water where those things are not available, or the Savlon antiseptics. Clean the wound and cover. Because when you use iodine or methylated spirit on fresh wound, it inflicts pain, and that we want to avoid. We shouldn't, the person is already in pain. Adding spirit to the injury, trying to clean the injury, you are adding more pain onto the injury. To me, based on my research and study, I found out that the methylated spirit was banned in first aid box, but recently they put it back. I said, when you use your kit, your razor blade, your scissor, forceps, you can disinfect it with methylated spirit. So you can't just eradicate methylated spirit from first aid box. Now, methylated spirit can be used on secondary wounds. Secondary wounds are the wound that you have for more than 2-3 days, and when you open the bandage, the wound, is kind of contaminated. You can use methylated spirit to clean it up. By then, the person won't feel such pain initially as the primary wound. So first aid box is essential to each location. The kitchen, first aid box that should be in kitchen is the person asthmatic, which means that particular first aid box will contain inhaler or nebulizer. So if it's in the office, there are different items too. Then when you are going to site, that one is bogus. The particular first aid box they use in site is more bogus than the one in kitchen or in the office. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noah. You actually prepared for us today, because everything you're telling us is really, really enlightening and very insightful. We really appreciate that. Okay, now I heard you talk about first aid box for the kitchen and all of that. So I just wanted to ask, out of curiosity, I just want to know, when you come to a house, should there be first aid box for every should I say, segment of the house? Like in the kitchen, there should be a first aid box for the kitchen. Maybe in the parlor, there should be in the room, or I don't know, and with different items.
So one first aid box can serve in a home. One first aid box can serve in a home. The reason why it's close to the kitchen, you know what happened in the kitchen. When you cook, the smoke, the heat, it might occur. So it's at the reach of your hand to grab and take your inhaler. And so many people die before they can get to the inhaler, they're already there. When I saw two deaths like that, before he gets to where the inhaler is, the guy is already going. He was frying in the kitchen, and the smoke, he inhaled the smoke, and the episode started, and he was struggling. You can see he was stretching towards the first aid box in the corridor. He moved from the kitchen to the parlor to the corridor, and he was stretching his hand. That's where he died. So the closest place for the first aid box to be is either between the close to the kitchen, anyway, especially for those that suffer those particular illness.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I wanted to go ahead to ask, okay, since the one for the home should be close to the kitchen, where should the one for the vehicle be? Then when it has to do with churches or offices, where should they also be? Is there anything like that? Are there specific places?
The one for the vehicle, the reason why so many people put it behind the back seat, why some people put theirs in the, what do you call it, in the boots.
Yeah.
But if there is an incident and the boot is smashed, it will be difficult for you to get the boot open. I believe when you are traveling with no much crowd in the vehicle, the first aid box should just be behind the seat. Or beside you, so far as you are traveling alone, it should be beside you, so it will be for easy grab. Now, if it's behind the boot, it's still okay, depend on how you want to go. Mine, as a first responder, my first aid bag should be close to me, not far away. It should be close to me.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. Okay, we want to ask, who should be taught first aid box basic skills in homes, schools, churches, and all? Are there a specific set of people who should actually learn about how to use first aid box, or is it a knowledge that everyone can have access to?
Okay, it's a knowledge that everyone can have access to. Everyone should know how to make. There's one thing to have the first aid box, and there's another thing to. You see, that's why I said the enforcement is wrong. The enforcement that they should have first aid box. Now, at the end of the day, majority of these people that have this first aid box don't even know how to use it. They don't know what to use and when the incident occur. Apart from they told them that in case of accident, you can bring up your. What if you are trapped? How do you get to the booth to get the first aid box and cut yourself loose from the incident scene? So everybody, after enforcing the first aid box, what I expected the VIO to do is, train people on how to manage the first aid box during emergency. But that is not being done. But all we see is enforcing everybody. To the extent that my friend have to call me, do I have first aid box? He want to travel. He just want to hang it in the vehicle so he can travel with it. Not that he knows how to use it. That I should just get him the first aid box so he want to travel to Delta State. You know that VIO are on the road, they will demand for first aid box. I say, wow. Okay, I say I don't have. That means you have to buy and put in your vehicle. I believe me, most of those first aid boxes are empty because VIO doesn't inspect inside the first aid box. So everybody should know how to use first aid box. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, I think this particular question will go to Ms. Doris because I heard you say a lot of things concerning people not having knowledge of first aid box, and meanwhile, I think Chealth officer will explain better to us. So Doris, I want to ask, is first aid part of the services you offer at the CSAE Healthcare Access Center, Chealth?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, at CSAAE Healthcare Access Center, Chealth, part of our product, or one of our products that we sell, is first aid box. Not just selling an empty first aid box, they are fully kitted to meet everyone's needs, right? So it's part of the services that we offer here. And we sell different sizes of them, starting from the smallest to the medium size, the large, and the extra large, fully stocked with the necessary equipment they should have.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So, Mr. Noah, I think you actually have to talk with Doris for maybe collaboration, partnership, and the rest of them. So, for those of your friends who are asking you for first aid box, that you don't know. So, Doris actually have well equipped, and she told you we have different sizes. And based on the sizes, I also wanted to ask you this question, as she mentioned it. What is the importance of sizes when it comes to first aid box? What can the small size, medium size, big size, are there any effects to them? Are there people that are supposed to have the medium size, those are supposed to have you understand? So what is the sizes all about when it comes to first aid?
The sizes depend on, just like I said, there is you can have saline water it's like a drip, but they use it to manage wound in first aid box. Now, the saline water might not size the smallest first aid box. So you need a bigger first aid box for you to stock normal saline water in it. So that's why it different. The smaller it is, you can get your Savlon antiseptics on those one. But when it comes to the bigger size, there are other materials that couldn't fit in the smaller one. So those can fit in. That's why it's essential for different purposes. It's like an individual, for the smaller ones, like an individual thing, something you just need to have for yourself. But the bigger size is something that you have to use for a kind of, a group of people. Because for this particular smaller one use of any of this is already exhausted. But for the bigger one, it can contain much more of the triangular bandage of those bandages, unlike the smaller kits. So that's how it is.
Okay, thank you so much for that explanation. Now, we want to ask, could you share a real life experience where a first aid kit, intervened in saving a life?
Okay. Okay, some 2024 August, I think in front of our office, I was with my boss and I noticed there was a screech of a vehicle and somebody dropped on the floor. The first thing I did is grab the first aid box, ran out to meet the incident. Before getting there, everybody have gathered, just like you said, some people with their phone, some people are crying because it was a student that was trying to cross the road and he was knocked down by a vehicle. And the reason why everybody are in shock at that particular moment was the leg was broken into pieces. So we got there, some parents are already rolling on the floor. Chase, somebody picking, I said, okay, based on when you are a trained first aider, you know how to hold on to some emotion. So I got there. Without first aid, but we'll be able to do nothing. So we opened the first aid board. The first thing is to pad the bones together and use those roller bandage to hold the legs while he's being transported to the hospital. So imagine there was no first aider on ground or the incident didn't happen in front of our office, maybe before our office or far further from our office. They will have mismanaged that guy. By now, he will have been working with either one leg damaged, amputated, or something. Because I saw an incident like that. The same incident occurred 2015. Till today, the leg didn't heal because of the way, as soon as the incident occurred, they just jacked the guy and took him to the hospital without proper. So this particular one, I have to clean the wound. I have to clean. Yes, they will clean it in the hospital, but we have to do one first cleaning. That's why it's the first aid, first help. I have to do first cleaning to reduce the impact of every infection before taking to the hospital. So that's why first aid box is very, very important.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful. Because just like you said, just imagine you weren't there, or maybe that didn't happen in front of your office and all of that. That is why this knowledge is really important for everyone to get. Okay, I have another question for you, Doris. As a healthcare professional and a geriatric caregiver, what can you say about having first aid handy at home?
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Blessing. Okay. Being a caregiver or in my years of serving as a caregiver, right? It's very important. Having a first aid handy and at home is very essential for everybody because, nobody plans for any incidents to happen or injuries and stuff like that. But these things happen just when they need to happen. Yes, just like people say, God forbid, I don't want to die during accidents. Oh, God forbid, I don't want to get myself injured and stuff like that. But you just have to get ready. You just have to be prepared at every point in time. So I'm going to share an experience. I had this lady I was caring for as a caregiver, right? And one of those mornings, she woke up to have a bath. She fell and had a cut. The tiles in the bathroom had to give her a very deep cut. Now, because she had a first aid in the house, it was easy for us to do that first hand care before taking her to the nearby hospital to get external help. If that had not, if we were not able to administer the treatment at that first instance, I'm sure there would have been, the blood would have just kept on flowing till maybe we'll take her to the hospital. But we're able to do that first-hand care. We're able to, stop the bleeding at that time before we took her to the external care to get more help. So it's very important for everyone to have their first aid handy at home and even in their offices as well.
Okay, thank you so much for that beautiful answer, Ms. Doris. It's really important for everyone to have first aid handy. But I also want to ask you, this question is to you, Ms. Doris. You know, some African parents can be very, very fun, okay? So now an African mom might, I'm just, saying things that might actually happen and how we can actually, take care of these things. So they might actually get the first aid box and they'll be like, I don't want my son or my daughter to, misuse it. They might just have a little cord that doesn't need them to use first aid, and then they will just be using the first aid and anyhow, and then they go to hide it. Okay, African mothers can be like that, and then they go to hide it. Now, when emergency occurs, when they are not home, okay, then you will have people scampering for help and the rest of them without getting. So, what do you think about kids? I think you also deal with kids and the rest of them, taking care of kids and the rest of them. So, how do you manage taking care of kids, how they behave, and first aid box when it comes? So should parents make first aid box accessible to their kids? Just like I asked Mr. Noah, should it be something that everyone can actually learn? Should they make it accessible to their kids? Should they have someone, maybe a caregiver for the kids who will always administer, or can every child in the home learn how to administer first aid?
Thank you, Ms. Lassing. Okay, I would say not necessarily every child had to admit. I mean, you have to get to a certain age before you'll be able to learn these things, right? So for mothers who have kids that are still very tender, it's very important that they have a caregiver. That is why having a caregiver around for your children is very helpful for such incidents or for such situations when it happens. I mean, for them that are very tender, they can't access first aid box. They won't even know how to use it. So, but if you have a caregiver around who cares for these children, right? The person you as a mother can put them through on how to use the basic things inside the first aid box when there's an emergency at home in your absence. So it's something every home, every African mother should have at the back of their mind, that in as much as they want the safety of their children, they should also have a caregiver that will always be around to do these things for them.
Okay, thank you so much. I had to actually put that one because I know you also deal with caregiving, just the way you do for aged people, you also do for kids and the rest of them. I think we'll give you the time to talk about that as we move on. But Mr. Noah, so this is actually going to be one of the questions most people that are viewing us right now would really love to, get an answer to and know how to go about it. So we want to know, what are some of the most common first aid mistakes people make during emergencies, and how can they avoid them?
The most common mistake people make during emergency is panic. When you panic, you can, no matter how professional you are, when you panic, every other thing you learn is off your head. So first thing first, do not panic. Assess the situation, because when you panic, it will be very difficult for you to assess the situation. So when panic sets in, mistakes are bound to occur. I was in a training, one of our first aid training, and this particular guy was given a task because it's part of his promotional exam to become an advanced first aider. So he was given the question, the task. He looked at the question and he panicked. He was confused. So I have to call the instructor that this guy can't do it alone. He needs a partner. They have no idea that I know more about the topic they gave to him. So they say, okay, if you want to be his partner, go ahead. So as I got to him, he just whispered to me, say, bros, I have no idea on what I'm doing here. I said, don't worry, just follow my lead. Because he panics, there's no way he can go through with whatever task they gave to him. So when you panic during an emergency, you are bound to make series of mistakes, series of them.
So, thank you so much. So the first thing to do when there's an emergency is do not panic. But do you really think it's easy for someone not to panic during an emergency? I don't know if you understand. More especially for those, there are some emergencies that maybe as a road safety officer or something, you're on the road, accident happens. It's your calling, it's your ministry. So we know you can deal with that. But someone who maybe you're just in a bus, you were not expecting that, but you have knowledge of first aid or something, and it happens. Do you really think it will be easy for them not to panic?
No, it's not easy. Just like when I'm training, I will tell them that the principle of first aid, they do not panic. And you know one thing about do not in Nigeria, do not urinate, that place is, don't dump refuge, that place is filled up. So which means you may panic, but just try to stay calm, unlike the others. Because when people are panicking, you see them crying, the emotion setting, they couldn't hold back anything. But for you, as soon as you were able to hold back, all the skills you have learned start, setting in, and you start administering. Everybody place their hope on you because you are doing something. They are panicked. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't help. A lady that child went into convulsion, and the boy was very hot. She touched him, and the boy was not breathing. Like his black eye just go white. She just panicked and left the child. All she wants to hear is dead. I said, no, 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 no. This is just a convulsion. Control the temperature, and the child will be fine. The woman was like, she's not even talking back to me. So I have to handle the child. After doing all the necessary first aid on the child, and I hand the child over to her. She was thinking that I hand over a dead child to her. So when she tried to raise the head to check the child out, and the child was like, allow me. The mother just looked at me like, what did you do? I said, just simple first aid. Why everybody panics, try to get yourself together, even though you panic, because some people, at the sight of blood, oh my God, talk less of when hand is chopped off. Yes, you panic. Put yourself together and then do the needful.
Thank you so much. I think this is raw, like very, very truthful, because I was wondering, do not panic. How possible is that? But the thing is, once it happens, just get yourself together and then do what you need to do. Okay, thank you so much. So before we let you go, I want to know if you could teach every Nigerian just 3 life-saving first aid skills, which 3 would you choose and why?
Life-saving skill. First aid is simple, but only when it is learned. Yes, some people, there's difference between having an idea of something and having the quality information you need, in practice. They say idea rule the world. Yeah, idea doesn't build bridges. It took engineers to build bridges. Yes, with the idea that somebody brings. So Dr. ABC is very important. We use it a lot in emergency response. Everybody should know Dr. ABC, especially in this Nigeria. It's very important you know Dr. ABC. Dr. ABC is an acronym, DRABC. D stands for danger, R stands for response, A stands for airway, B stands for breathing, and C stands for circulation/chest compression. Now, in every emergency situation, you don't just rush because you are skilled or even unskilled, you want to help. You don't rush, you look out for danger. What really causes this incident? When you have eliminated the danger, before you can go in for response. Now, we heard that some people, somebody trapped in a place, you try to go in to save and the building collapse and everybody become a victim of circumstances. So first of all, you must look for danger. Is the place safe? If it's not safe, don't go in. It's better we have 10 dead than you went in and make them 11. So you check for danger. If the place is safe for you, safe for whosoever is coming with you, because the person that is in danger is already in danger, it's not safe. So you have to bring the person out from the danger. Then check for response. Call the person's name if you know his name. If he can respond to you, that's the R. You check if the person can respond. And how do you check that? You use your AVPU. Alert, voice, You pinch. If the person feels pain, respond to stimuli. But if the person didn't respond to your alert, to your voice, while you're shouting, hello, can you hear me? And the person didn't respond to the pinch, that means the you means unresponsive. Then you move to the next, which is airway. You open the airway to check if the person is breathing, whether there is rising and falling of the chest. If you can do that, you won't make mistake during your CPR. Because if you don't check for Dr. ABC and you do CPR, who knows if that guy's heart is beating? You now compress it and stop it from beating. So that's why you must use your Dr. ABC to assess a casualty before commencing CPR. It is very important you do that. Just like when you want to manage wounds, you must put on your PPE, which is your gloves, and before you handle any open wound or bleeding. Without that, you are putting yourself at risk or in danger, because sometimes, because of anxiety, after managing somebody, the wound, the debris, the saliva, everything is on your body, and you are still there, they are managing him, he's okay. And few weeks later, you start falling ill because you didn't take care of yourself during the incident you manage. So it's very important we make use of our PPE during an emergency if it's available. If it's not available, improvise. Put on waterproof in your hand before touching any injured person or someone who is bleeding. Put on some clean waterproof in your hand before you do that. And for assessing an emergency, somebody is on the floor, you have no idea why it's on the floor. It could be snake bite. You now rush. Wetin happen? The snake came and thought that you are a threat and attacked you. So you must look for danger, eliminate the danger before you attend to any casualty. I don't know if that answered the question.
It does. I just feel like I don't have it. I feel like, giving you I don't know, an applause is actually an understatement. I don't know what to actually give you, but that was very brilliant. I think this, just like I said, is actually what most people were actually looking out for when they heard we are having this particular webinar, because most people they are clueless when it comes to, what do we really, need to do, just like you mentioned now. Incidents happen, people jump into it out of passion. You see some people that are passionate, accidents happen, and then they want to help out. Now you want to help out, you are dragging the leg of the person, you're dragging the hand of the person and all of that. And when you're still there trying to do that, the thing that happened to the person, maybe something fell on a car,
Yeah.
you're trying to help people out, and then the thing, you didn't even check out whether the thing that fell, it has actually, it got done with falling. And then you went to help, and then you become the next victim. So even in your, zeal to help, in your activism, advocacy to help, you should also look out for danger. I think this actually says it all. Okay, our time is almost fast spent, but before I let you go, I want Ms. Doris, I don't know if you have anything to say to our speaker today.
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Noah. I mean, he's someone I've known from way back in Port Harcourt, and he's a good tutor when it comes to first aid, and he's a full member of Red Cross Society as well. So, which was why it was really an honor to have him be our guest speaker for today's program. So, thank you so much, Mr. Noah, for coming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doris. And then to our dear viewers, I believe you actually learned something. I believe you did, because I did. If not for anything, I learned Dr. ABC today. Okay? I don't think I've heard about Dr. ABC before now. I think the only ABC I know is the ABC Transport Company. But now I know there's something like Dr. ABC, and then you took your time to explain what the acronym means. So whenever we want to help, use your brain. That's just what everything is saying. Use your brain to help. Don't allow passion to override safety and the rest of it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Noah, for today. Thank you for joining us. I want everyone who is watching to remember that emergency do not announce their arrival. I think I heard Mr. say that people don't, feel I'm covered with this, I'm covered with that. It's not my portion. I bind, I cast. But remember that emergency do not announce their arrival. A simple first aid kit and the right knowledge can save a life. Perhaps even yours. So Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Mr. Noah. But Doris, before we leave, you said you have first aid box yourself. So people who want to buy, people who want to contact you, how can they actually reach out to make purchase if they want?
Thank you very much. So for anyone who is interested in getting our first aid box, the fully kitted first aid box can reach us through our call line 0704 600 7185. I'll repeat 0704 600 7185. Or the person can actually walk into our head office if you're within Owerri at number 17 Ajoko Street, behind UBA Bank, Wedra Road, Owerri. Or also reach us via our website at chealth.csaaeinc.org. Thank you very much.
And this is what we call it today on today's episode of the Sea Health Awareness Series. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.